Who's feeling good? Okay, who's feeling ready for resolutions? Who's feeling ready for resolutions? All right, thank you very much. Zeh hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismach bo. This has been a day, but God gave it to us, so let's rejoice. I want to begin just by thanking everybody who worked so hard to put this conference together. Thank you, Mark Anshin, for that very generous introduction. And I mostly want to thank all of you, not just for staying to the end. That is true. But because I know what you do. Every one of you in this room is at the front lines of the work to build sacred Jewish communities that are rooted in our love of God and our sense of covenantal obligation to the Holy One, that engage in words of Torah and the study of our sacred, enduring history and our beloved Israel, the land and the people, and you live enduring Jewish values. And to be here at the Stephen Wise Free Synagogue. So here's the thing. My parents had a Volvo station wagon. We used to park it in Lower Manhattan because I lived in a two-bedroom, one-bathroom. And my dad and mom would drive us in the Volvo wagon and park on 68th Street so we could see, witness, and hear from Rabbi Helene Ferris, the first woman to serve in a major New York City pulpit. So other than sleeping on the floor of the synagogue for shulins, this is the first time I've ever been asked to speak, so I'm really honored to be here. I want to ground my words of gratitude to this conference in a story, and I was so grateful to our speakers earlier who reminded us, if we are not people of the book that tell stories, what are we? So it was the fall of 2001. I was an assistant rabbi, and I had been preparing a wonderful young man to become a bar mitzvah, and I'd been working with him for several years. His name was Sam Schwartz. He was a beloved child of the congregation. He had severe cognitive deficits, and he was that kid you can all imagine, huggy, lovey, adorable, cute, and just beloved. He would come up to me every week at Sunday school and run over to me and say, "Pesner, you gonna do my bar mitzvah, Pesner?" Yeah, he called me Pesner, it was cute. So then Tuesday morning, before Sam's bar mitzvah, it was the tragedy of 9/11. And that Shabbat morning, Sam's huge family and whole social community and network showed up. And they carried the weight of the tragedy that had happened only 5 days before, but they were also so full of joy and anticipation for this young man and the miracle of his bar mitzvah. And as I looked out at the congregation, I saw on one side of the room his whole family brimming with joy and anticipation. And on the other side was the family of Richard Ross, Zichrono Livracha, beloved member of the congregation who died along with the many on 9/11. There was his widow, Judy, and her whole family. Every person in that room was hurting and wanting joy. I felt myself choked up and heart racing, asking, how on earth are we going to get through this? Half the congregation is here to celebrate the greatest day in this boy's life, and the other half is mourning an unimaginable loss. The service unfolded just as you would imagine. Sam was, of course, spectacular. He surpassed everyone's expectations between his singing and his laning of Torah, and of course his Devar Torah, which felt like a miracle. And after the closing song, before the closing song, the mourner's Kaddish was among the most intense I had ever seen. And then what happened next? The closing song. I saw Judy Ross, who had never met him before that morning, stand up, cross over to Sam's side, take Sam's face in her hands with tears in her eyes, and just say, "Thank you. Thank you." And I thought, that's how we're going to get through this. So, Moda ani lefanechem. I'm grateful to you because that story is not unique to me. This is the story that each one of you are writing in your congregations and in your communities every day. I learned great Torah from Rabbi Neil Katz the other day, who said to me, and I agree with him, the strength of our Reform Jewish movement, it's not our institutions. It's our rabbis, our cantors, our educators, our professionals, and our talented lay sacred partners. You all are the ones who make our movement work. So, thank you. This is a story that our movement tells week after week, day after day, year after year, even as we hold the trauma and the grief of the last few years. We still look ahead to building a thriving global Jewish community rooted in our enduring Jewish values and a secure Israel that is in line with the vision of its founders, the one vision they articulated in the Declaration of Independence. It is a story both ancient and renewed, and we can proudly pass that story down from generation to generation. So in a few moments, you're going to consider the resolutions that are put before you, and many of you helped draft them and worked on them. They are sacred words of affirmation. They embody Sam's story, Judy's story, and all of your stories. They are a statement of our commitments to God, Torah, and Israel, the people, and the land. The great Rav Kook, the first chief rabbi of Israel, then the priest-state Yishuv, wrote a wonderful poem, Shir HaMerubah, in which he said that every Jew has a threefold song. Shirat HaNefesh, the song of the individual Jew. Shirat HaUmah, the song of the Jewish people. And also Shirat Ha'Adam, the song of every human and all of humanity. And finally, Shirat HaOlam, the song of the wider world. Each one of you embodies our collective reform movement's commitment to live according to Rav Kook. And each one of you understands that to live a whole Jewish life, one must sing all four of those songs throughout the musical score of our lives. One Jewish nefesh at a time, we seek to lead, to teach, to inspire, and help people find meaning and purpose in Jewish life. And then we turn to our people, Am Yisrael, rooted in our ancestral homeland, the miracle of the modern state of Israel, and across a globe of Jewish peoplehood. We strive to live the dream of Echad Ha'am, who imagined us as an or legoyim, a light unto all the Jews and all the nations across the world, the light of Hatikvah, of hope, of what Zion restored could be. And we also turn to the work of tikkun, relieving the burden of all who suffer and repairing all that is broken in the world. That is the work that is embodied in the resolutions that you are going to pass tomorrow. They are both poetry and a call to action. Now, since I also hold, Mark Anshin, the title of Director of the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, I do want to say a few words about the resolutions that deal with our beloved, cherished, treasured institution, the Religious Action Center. I want to be very clear. The Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism represents the largest Zionist organization in the world. Let me repeat that, and you should clap. The largest Zionist organization in the world. Let's celebrate that. We are also representing the largest and most diverse denomination in Jewish life, which means that Israel and Jewish peoplehood are a primary concern of the Religious Action Center because we represent the Jewish people, you, our sisters and brothers in Israel and across the world. Our commitment to Jewish peoplehood are thriving, rooted in our sacred texts, not made up from some political agenda, but the agenda of Torah, rabbinic literature, and thousands of years of our ancestors' teaching, in order to protect and defend the Jewish people, Israel, and all people everywhere. Our founder, Kivie Kaplan, his vision to buy the rack and donate it to us came out of a moment of anti-Semitism. He was in Florida. No offense, guys. I apologize. You know the story. He was on his honeymoon with Emily, and everywhere they saw the sign, no Jews, no dogs. But Kivie's answer was not to turn inward. When he heard the black taxi driver say, they don't even bother with us, he realized that we had to be in solidarity with all those who need liberation. If, as we heard earlier, that Zionism is the liberatory movement of our people, we need to be concerned with the liberation of the Jewish people and all people everywhere. And that's why we march together. I also need you to know, for those that don't, every time I tell the story of the rack to the next generation, all those teenagers who come, thousands of them, to the rack every year, some of you have been there as adults, as chaperones, some of you have been as students. I was there in 1984, that's why I'm here today. I give the sermon. And I also, by the way, give the same sermon in each one of your congregations and communities across North America and in Israel. And as part of that sermon, I proudly proclaim that our first director, in whose enormous footsteps I follow, Rabbi Dick Hirsch, not only brought Dr. King to the RAC's offices, not only helped draft the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, but he made Aliyah to Israel and built the reform movement in Israel and across the world. Because as he would say to me and to Josh Weinberg and to all of you, Zionism is a social justice ideology. And you can clap for that. Zionism is about the liberation of the Jewish people to live freely in our 3,000-year-old ancestral land on which we have lived continuously and once again as a sovereign nation, and the right of all people to thrive. In every congressional office that we enter, in every coalition table at which we sit, and in every campaign that we organize, we are loud and clear with our coalition partners and with our elected officials. We represent the largest Zionist organization in the world. That's who we are. And we bring the full weight of our history, our tradition, and our mission with us and our whole selves into the public square with no apology and no qualification. I'm going to briefly share two examples that will make us all proud. I was given 15 minutes. How am I doing on time? It's Sam. Who could say no to Samantha Kahn? All right. Well, Hirsch and I negotiated 15, so I'll tell you what. Okay, I'm going to do the stories in this truncated way. I'm not even going to read my words. So RAC, Ohio is in the middle of the successful ballot initiative to win abortion rights. And one of the groups went to the coalition conveners, which was like Planned Parenthood and the ACLU, and said, we can't work with this group. You got to push them out. The RAC, they're a Zionist organization. We didn't even have to say anything. Our partners, the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, the others said to them, then you can leave the coalition, because the RAC has been at the table for 70 years, and we're not kicking them out anytime soon. Here's the next one. RAC New Jersey was launching its campaign right during the World Zionist Congress election, and so on every slide, when they were going around to their slide deck, PowerPoint, to their coalition partners across New Jersey, they intentionally included a slide about the World Zionist Congress to make sure that every coalition partner knew that RAC New Jersey was for Zionism in Israel. Finally, and I think it was Bennett Miller, and with this I promise I will wrap up. Where's Bennett? Is he still here? I think it was Bennett. Bennett came, was it you? Bennett came to me and said, Dick needs to see you. It was when your father was living in Boca with the back issues. So what do you do when Dick Hirsch says, I need to see you, through his trusted lieutenant? What do? You get on a plane to Boca, which I did. And Dick sat with me, he told stories, and it was an incredible reunion of sorts and a coming together of the generations. But then he looked at me and said, Jonah, and he put his finger. You can imagine. What you did at the RAC is incredible. I was like, okay, there's a but coming. And you need to use every element, every resource you have built at the RAC for Israel. He was prophetic, and he was right. How many of you worked on the World Zionist Congress election? That was the largest Israel campaign, the Religious Action Center, all 9 state projects, all of our national campaign organizers working with the amazing Lindsay Danziger. Michael is here, so I want to get good reports. And of course, Rabbi Josh Weinberg, who is somewhere here. And we proved that we can do this. Every time we're in Congress, we also address the scourge of anti-Semitism. Our top lobbying ask is $1 billion for funding to protect your synagogues and your communities. Our top lobbying ask is to protect houses of worship. Our top lobbying ask is to reform the Department of Education and protect our students. Our top lobbying ask is to report hate crimes so that we can actually gather data, and. I tell you this only because it may appear that the rack is only for the other. But we live into the maxim that our beloved scholar, and I know I am finishing, Hillel said, and you know this, because who are we, if not the children of Israel, put on this earth with the holy mission to serve the Holy One? But what are we if we're ourselves alone? So I conclude with gratitude like I opened. Modeh ani lefanechem, I am grateful to you. I have been meditating during these very dark and challenging days on Modeh ani, and it felt like the end is wrong. Shechazarta binishmati, Rabba emunatecha. Great is your faith that you returned my soul. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's wrong. It should be God is like giving us our souls back because we're so faithful in God. But I realized, no, it's exactly right. God restores our soul every morning as a call to action. You woke up, you returned your breath, your eyes are open, so do something. So show up. Show up for the Jewish people, show up for all people, show up for Israel, show up for all of humanity. Kein Hi Ratzon. May this be God's will.